Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you all here. Thanks for coming. I know it's been a very busy, packed 3 days here at the AI for Good. And I'm glad to see that there's still a lot of committed people who are here to listen to what we have to share with you. So we are the UNICC, the UN International Computing Center, created 54 years ago by the member states. We are designed to support the entire UN system with all things technology. So 54 years ago, cutting edge meant a mainframe. So that's what we bought. So that was cutting edge then. And for 54 years, with every evolution in technology, we've evolved. And we have to understand what our partners' needs are. Our partners are the entire UN system, and support them in their substantive mission. So here we are today, and of course, the stage we are sitting in is AI for Good. So we work in AI as well. We have built competencies, and we intend to build more in order to support our partner community. So what we did is we launched the AI Hub, which happened on Monday, and we defined the first set of common capabilities that our partners said we should be building so we can accelerate their journey of adoption. So they can use AI much more effectively to support their mandates. They can use AI to achieve outcomes that much faster. And it means a combination of skills that we need to build, and more importantly, a combination of partnerships. So what we announced on Monday is a massive series of partnerships with all sorts of companies. We have partnerships with consulting companies, with nonprofit sector, with technology companies, with academia, and support from member states. So today my job is easy. We have a short time on stage here, and I'd like to invite 3 very important guests. The first one is Ambassador, oh, there you go, you can see them. Ambassador Thomas Schneider, please join me on stage. He's, as you can see, the Ambassador and Director of International Affairs. Thanks for joining us. Please. And of course, the next we have is Shireen Hamid, who is a long-time supporter of UNICC and happens to be my vice chair. So thank you, Shireen, for joining us. And her day job is she's the CIO of the International Monetary Fund. Shireen, thanks for joining us. And last but by no means least, our Deputy Director, Milena Grecuccio. Milena, thanks for joining us on stage. Welcome, please. So, as I said, today my job is easy, because what I have to do is introduce you to them and let them share their perspectives on A, why is AI so critical, from their perspective, sitting where they do, and 2, why this common capability we're building at UNICC is so important for the UN system at this stage. So, without much further ado, Ambassador, if I can start with you. I'll welcome you to either sit, or I think they've hooked up the podium, your call. Please, either way, but I'll pass the baton on to you. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. So your mic works. So hello, everyone. Very happy to be here once more in Geneva and in Palexpo for the first time after the World Summit on the Information Society of 2003. So it's been a long time. First of all, given that we're here not just in the venue of the AI for Good, but also of the WSIS +20 high-level event, one thing that we keep in mind is the vision that was established actually here in Palexpo 22 years ago of an inclusive, people-centered and development-oriented, we called it information, we will call it digital society now. This is still valid for us. This hasn't changed, even if technologies and opportunities and challenges advance. So this is something that for us is still the Bible, or the baseline is the WSIS documents, and we take it from there. And with all the changes that had happened in technologies, of course, we need to see what that means in terms of governance. And I also oftentimes remember what Kofi Annan said 1 year later in 2004, talking about internet governance, that those who work on the governance of digital technologies need to be as creative as those who invent the digital technologies in their respective roles. I think this is even more the case now than it was 20 years ago. And so for us, this means that for the overall WSIS +20 review process that will shape the architecture of the international cooperation in digital space for the next at least decade, that we need to think, well, how do we organize ourselves on global level, but then also on regional, national level? How can we cooperate, given also disagreements and tensions? How can we cooperate best to make sure that these technologies are not just for the good of a few, but actually for the good of most of us. And as we are a small country, a bottom-up country, we still believe that a rules-based world order gives us the best chance for everyone to actually have a chance to make his or her voice heard. And so we are therefore cooperating as constructively as we can in many fora that all have their share and their role in this complicated but necessary discussion on who does what and how do we get to a global governance of the digital world in a way that no one is left behind. So for us, the UN is important, the ITU has a key role, UNESCO, UNDP, all the UN agencies, also other fora like the OECD or this new global partnership on AI that has now been integrated in the OECD, but also, and this is has proven to be quite a good start when the Council of Europe, which is not the European Union, it's kind of the UN of Europe with 46 member states, starts with some like-minded to develop a standard that then over time merges or develops into a global standard. So we have developed at the Council of Europe the first binding legal framework on AI, human rights, democracy and rule of law, of which I had the honor to chair the negotiations. And this is an instrument that is open to all countries in the world that hold human rights, democracy and rule of law up. And it has also, there's a practical tool that goes with it that helps countries to assess risks and impacts of AI. So I can only invite you, those who are not familiar with this yet, to look into this. But now to become more practical, of course, we welcome that the UNICC uses AI as well, so that we, and the same is going on in my administration. And of course, we all hope that the AI agents will replace us so that we get only half of our salary in 5 years' time, but have like 2% of the work. That may not really happen this way, but we may have the luck to get rid of some repetitive exercise and concentrate our energy on the more challenging ones. So I'm looking forward to this, and we, of course, as Switzerland, we care about the UN system that is fit for purpose, fit for contributing or shaping the global digital governance of this century, so that also there's modernization in the UN system. So we really appreciate this AI Hub. As Switzerland, we also do have some initiatives that try to contribute to not just big institutions, powerful companies being able to use and develop AI. We want also to join with others that small entities, less resource communities can use and develop their own AI systems. So we started, the Foreign Ministry started an initiative with the Polytechnical Institutes, ETH Zurich and EPFL Lausanne, called ICANE, to share computing power. We do have one of the bigger supercomputers in Ticino, in Lugano, and the Finns are part of it, and some African stakeholders have joined. So this is an initiative that like many others, tries to democratize AI so that we don't just have to buy systems from big companies, but we can develop them our own. We're also working on a Swiss LLM that should be trustworthy and able to be used for people that speak the fourth language in my country, which is called Romansh, which is spoken by 50,000 people in 4 different dialects. And they have no chance to use ChatGPT for themselves. But so we try to, and there's thousands of other languages like this one in the world, and we also cooperate there with others, that these tools are there also for minorities, for less resourced communities, and of course we do hope that the AI Hub that has now been created by UNICC will help the UN, but not just the UN, will help all of us using the power of AI tools in an effective way, and hopefully make our lives better and more peaceful in its small contribution than the other way around. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for sharing those thoughts. And as you rightly said, for a small country, a bottom-up country where governance is still in the hands of citizens, it's important to bring all those points of view together. So we look forward to the Swiss LLM as it's announced, and being a UN organization, we want to make sure we are able to respect and support, make available all of the different technologies to our partners. So we'll definitely be looking at the Swiss LLM very keenly to see how we can use it. But thank you. And thank you to Switzerland for the support. Shifting gears, Shireen, who has, as I mentioned, has not just been a long-time supporter of UNICC, but a long-time innovator in the UN system. And beyond. Shireen, thank you for joining us. I know you're driving IMF's innovation when it comes to AI. We had a chat on Monday, for example, and it was really, really impressive as to the kinds of incredible ways in which IMF is exploring the use of AI. So please, if I could pass you the microphone and ask you to share some of your thoughts and insights on what is IMF doing in terms of AI, and also bringing it back to UNICC. As one of our strategic partners, as the vice chair of my board, what do you see the value of the UNICC Hub? Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here and share with you some of the journeys that we're all taking across AI. And you can tell that this is a voyage. You know, the voyage has shifted dramatically last year, right, to where it is right now, you know, impacting every single part of our life in one way or another. At our table discussion over lunch, you know, one participant was just highlighting, did you know, if you're using Netflix, anyone using Netflix here? Practically everyone. That has AI embedded in it for quite some time. So it's been part of our life for a period of time. We just don't acknowledge it and don't recognize that, you know, it is embedded in our daily lives. So for us at the IMF, what we wanted to do is to make sure that we have an appreciation for what the technology can bring. And here it is obviously making a positive impact to every single beneficiary out there in the world. But to do that, you know, you have to have an appreciation in terms of what the technology entails. So actually understanding the technology is core. I have the benefit of ensuring that within the IMF, we have the capacity to understand data, to understand the technology, and then subsequently building a program in place to be able to support that. At the IMF, we've used AI for more than 10 years. This is before generative AI became popular. So when generative AI became popular, ChatGPT, in November 2022, there was a recognition that this is probably going to evolve and evolve rapidly, right? So what took 75 years for telephone to be embedded across 100 million people, what did it take? 2 months? Right? For ChatGPT to be embedded across 100 million. So the pace of change is going to be dramatic. And I hope that if anything that you can take away from me today is to have an appreciation, not to think about AI only for now, but actually the now is actually the future. And then recognizing that how can we actually influence the future, and especially the youth and the young that are embracing this technology, you know, as daily part of our lives. For many of us, this technology seems to be new. We're embracing, we're learning, right? Just as probably when we had the introduction of internet or when we had the introduction of the cloud. But for the younger generation, you will see that this is actually embedded in their daily lives, and they're not wondering why you're all very concerned about this as we are. So we are custodian to the future, and I hope that if anything, we are able to shape the future for our younger generations. So for the IMF is to make sure that we have a strategy, we have the capacity, we have the vision, and then at the same time, the tools to be able to bring the organization along at the greater journeys that all of us are going to embark on. But we don't do it alone. Partnership is going to be core and critical to us. So for us, partnership includes the likes of UNICC, right? Ensuring that we have the infrastructure, the services for us to be able to leverage and support. But more importantly, I also wear another hat, which is within the UN system, I'm also the Chief Information Officer. And I work very closely with all of the UN CIOs who are very, very passionate about making an impact and a difference in their own agency to drive that agenda forward. Historically, when you look at CIOs tend to be back-end infrastructure, right? Help desk services. But now, because most of this technology are cutting edge, people are starting to realize that, what is the role of the CIO? What is the role of technology? And do we just want to wait for something to happen or make a difference and make an impact? And if I may speak on behalf of the UN CIOs, I will tell you that all of us are very committed to our mission, to our agenda, and ensuring that the use of AI is going to bring that benefit to all of the beneficiaries in the world. So with that, the launch of the AI Hub is going to be very, very critical to us. What we want to do is to ensure that you have the infrastructure, the services, the reusable component. I always look at it from an architecture point of view. You have to have a vision, but you also have to have the architecture to understand that at the end of the day, when you bring a technology in place, you bring it responsibly. And how do you do that? And that is with the partnership, and hopefully we don't reinvent these capabilities over and over again. We want to be responsible to the resources that are allocated to us, and in this aspect, the AI Data Hub is where we have the aspiration, where we can actually benefit not only from the infrastructure, the hardware, the services, but also the innovation that could come out of it. And ultimately, right, we would like to lead together with UNICC to bring this benefit. So let me stop there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shireen. Thank you, Shireen. As usual, I love how you bring it back to the beneficiaries we're supposed to be helping. And I agree with you that as I see my partner community, the organization we support, there's a heightened sense of enthusiasm, because I think as technologists, we can all see that the work we do today can really make a direct impact on the missions of each of the organizations. So it's really to me, it infuses us with energy. Now, coming back to the AI Hub, I have with me Milena here, who's the Deputy Director at UNICC. And once we got our strategy approved, where the board said you should go build this AI Hub, I turned to her and said, go figure this out. So we are demand-driven, so we listen to our clients. So Milena, you spearheaded the whole discussion of what do we build, how do we build it, who do we partner with. So please, if I pass you the microphone, tell us a little bit about that journey.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Shireen. Thank you, Ambassador, for your valuable insights and for the support. A little historical note before I go into the details of the hub, because I don't know how many of you know us. UNICC is the United Nations International Computing Center, was founded in the 70s, 1971, as a result of a GA resolution. And it's been designed as a hub since its creation, basically. At the time, the terminology used was inter-organization facility for shared data processing services, which still sounds relevant today, at the end of the day. At the time, it began with operating the first mainframe for the UN system, right? We've been headquarters here in Geneva since then, happily. We have offices around the world, but the HQ is here. And we have served our communities of partners and users across the various phases of the tech evolution. So we've been the system hosting hub, running data centers, the technical hub, designing and supporting core digital systems, sourcing hub, both for tech and for skills. And now it's obvious that we should be the AI hub, again, for shared resources, for innovation, for scalability, fostering trust, fostering collaboration. The focus has always been delivering technical excellence, UN mandate focus, and economies of scale. So structurally, Samir mentioned it, we're governed by a management committee, which is the board, essentially, that represents the entire UN family. So in practical terms, we're talking about a cooperative. And technically, we provide the infrastructure, the tools, and the solutions. From a business model point of view, we are technology agnostic, neutral, like Switzerland, safeguarded by the international treaties that protect the UN from inviolability of premises and archives. Because when you hear about UN privileges, you think tax-free, which is just a practicality. What's really important is the fact that there is a neutrality to our physical space, which we're trying to bring into the digital space as well. Trying hard, by the way, with this, the polarization of big tech, let's say, is difficult to represent the same neutrality in the digital space. So we are fully cost recovery, so accountable to missions, not to profit. So the AI Hub simply builds on this foundation. Agency programs and funds and international organizations are enabled to come together and innovate. So we're already geared up for that. But most importantly, I believe we should walk the talk. When I speak to people in the private sector, civil society, they all refer to UNESCO, UNICEF, our tech envoy, when they want to define what responsible AI means. We are really explaining to the world, the UN is explaining to the world what it means to be responsible in the digital space and in AI. So the commitment of the Hub is to walk the talk. So responsible means, for me and for us, first and foremost, ensuring data protection. The other day I listened to will.i.am, who said that there can be no AI for good with poor data practices inherited by the social media revolution. And by the way, I can't believe I can quote will.i.am now instead of GDPR or other regulations to defend data protection. Thank you, Doreen, wherever you are. It's great. So I cannot stress enough the importance of this, because although, data protection is important for all of us, more than we can imagine, right to privacy, it's even more important for vulnerable populations. And the UN handles a lot of data that pertain to vulnerable populations. And the vision, the commitment of the Hub is to embed data protection by design, if not hard-coded somehow. So whoever uses the Hub for developing AI solutions will, by default, will have to adhere to data protection measures. Responsible also means effective and ethical adoption, safe adoption, and that's why we launched the AI Academy, because we want our workforce across the UN system to be educated and all job families have to be, nobody's spared from it, because all job families are covered, not just the techies. Responsible also means, very important, training the models. Doreen always talks about the unconnected, which is tragic, because basically the AI models are not being trained by all the human intelligence. Billions are left out. In addition to that, we want it to be trained free of bias, right? So in technology, we always dealt with this problem of garbage in, garbage out, and I don't think we solved it. And now this problem has become exponential, because the garbage doesn't look like garbage anymore when it comes out. It looks like a Swiss chocolate. And if you don't know it's garbage, you may end up eating it, and becomes part of your daily diet. So it's very important that we design AI responsibly, meaning that we don't inject biases and don't inject misinformation, and we don't inject all sorts of non-intelligence, because it's going to be spat out in a very, let's say, trustable way to the eyes, at least. So just to conclude, the AI is just an enabler, which is what we always did, enabling the technology in the UN system. And the invitation is to come together, act collectively, efficiently, ethically, and responsibly in the face of this unprecedented opportunity to accelerate our noble work in all areas that the UN covers, for the benefit of the people we serve. So as we transition from ideation to implementation, I invite everybody to bring their energy, no matter the sectors, private sector, NGOs. We partner with universities. We like to, get energy and ideas from everybody. Our booth is over there. Please come and say hi. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much, Milena. Thank you again, Ambassador Schneider. Thank you so much, Shireen. I think we'll conclude here, but we have a QR code up there. Please take a look. Learn more. As Milena said, we have a booth, which is the next layer behind us. We welcome ideas. We welcome collaboration. UNICC is a partnership. And we'd like to extend that partnership, work with more and more of you, because I think collectively we can make these solutions that much more effective and more bias-free, more resilient. And we can help our partners, the entire UN system, get to their outcomes much faster. Thank you so much.